Hi, this is DINKAR Mangla, and today I'm going to be presenting on the poem Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen. So let me give you a brief synopsis about Wilfred Owen. Wilfred Owen was born in 1983 in Oswestry, Suffolk. He was educated at Birkenhead Institute at Shrewsbury Technical College. He then had a short of money which caused him to stop attending school and become a tutor. In 1914, World War I started. Owen enlisted himself in 1915. Shortly after, he was an officer's training course. He was then shipped out to France and began fighting in 1917. He fought for 4 years before returning home. He suffered from shell shock and was considered unfit to lead troops. He went to Craig Lochhead Hospital to recover. While he was there, he met a successful poet named Siegfried Sassoon. As Owen developed new poems, he would pass his work by Sassoon, who would then give him tips. Sassoon helped Owen grow as a poet while in the hospital. A couple of months later, Owen returned to World War I. In November, Owen got a spot as a machine gunner. As he attempted to cross a canal, he was shot and killed during a German counterattack. Unfortunately, he died on November the 4th, 1914, a week before World War I ends, at the age of 25. Another poems written by Wilfred Owen are Anthem for Doomed Youth, Disabled, A Terre, Futility, Asleep, Beauty. And the one that I did in my presentation is Dulce et Decorum Est. Now let's hear the poem.
Bent double like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through the sludge till on the haunting flares we turned our backs, and towards our distant rest we began to trudge. Men marched asleep, many had lost their boots but limped on, bloodshot. All went lame, all blind, drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of tired, outstripped 5-9s that dropped behind. Gas! Gas! Quick, boys! An ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time. But someone was still yelling out and stumbling, and floundering like a man in a fire or line. Dim through the misty panes and thick green light, as under the green sea I saw him drowning. In all my dreams, before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If, in some smothering dreams, you could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in, and watch the white eyes writhing in his face, his hanging face, like a devil sick of sin. If you could hear at every jolt the blood that came gurgling from the froth-corrupted lungs of Besus cancer, bitter as the cud of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest to the children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie, dulce et decorum est pro patria mori.
Here, Wilfred Owen trying to represent that it's just another day on the battlefields of World War I. As our speaker lets us know right away, however, normal isn't a word that has any meaning for the soldiers anymore. They are all mentally ill and physically ravaged by the exertions of battle. Then, it gets worse. Just as the men are heading home for the night, gas shell drops beside them. The soldiers scramble for their gas masks in a frantic attempt to save their own lives. Unfortunately, they don't get to their masks in time. Our speaker watches as a member of the crew chokes and staggers in the toxic fumes, unable to save him from an excruciating certain death. Now he fast forwards the poem. He shows the time after the battle, but our speaker just can't get the sight of his dying comrade out of his head. He's trying to show the soldier's images everywhere in the speaker's thought, in his dreams, in his poetry. Worst of all, our speaker can't do anything to help the dying soldier. At the end, the speaker tries to portray that they might change their views. In the speaker's mind, there is nothing glorious and honorable about death, or for the matter, war itself. So that's the general idea of the poem. Now this poem makes a good connection with an article that we read in Unit 1, The Diamond Necklace. As the poem said, the first line, bent double like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we curse through sludge. Here, a poet uses a simile in bent double like old beggars under sacks. Here he is trying to show that the soldiers in this poem are crippled mentally and physically, overcome by the weight of their experiences in the war. He says, we hear that they are like old beggars and like hags. The speaker searching for images that will be able to understand how horribly twisted and deformed the bodies of the soldiers have become. In comparison to these lines, the article The Diamond Necklace portrays the same idea. So, as we know that character Madame Loisel always wanted to be rich, but due to the economic conditions around her, she cannot fulfill her desire, which makes her a very sad and depressive woman in her life. So it makes a great connection in here, as the soldiers in the poem are crippled mentally. Similarly, in the article The Diamond Necklace, the character Madame Loisel was very depressive on her life because she cannot become rich. Another connection in the poem is when Wilfred Owen says, men marched asleep. Many had lost their boots but blimped on, bloodshot. Here, the author is trying to compare men marched asleep with zombies. Owen's opting for concise realism here. Here he is trying to portray the horror of men walking as if they were dead. Out of exhaustion, we are guessing. By ending a sentence in the middle of the line 5, Owen creates a casuria, a pause in the line, a formal effect that underscores the terseness of the poem's language at this point. Similarly, a connection again with the article The Diamond Necklace goes very well with these lines. So as we know that before the party, the character Madame Loisel wants to impress other women by buying other women, to which she bought a 400 francs dress and borrowed a diamond necklace from her wealthy friend when she lost hers. This shows that her psychology is kind of ruined and don't know what she was doing just to impress her friends. So the idea in Wilfred Owen's poem matches exactly with the article The Diamond Necklace, as in the poem the soldiers are psychologically depressed and mentally ill as he compares them with zombies. And similarly in the article The Diamond Necklace, the character Madame just wants to impress her friends without knowing that how far is she going. But another connection that can be made from my ISP novel The Wars is when in the poem by Wilfred Owen says, if you could hear at every jolt the blood coming gurgling from the fourth corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud of vile incurable sores on innocent tongues. Here the author is trying to show that the scenario in which the soldiers are in is pretty disgusting. He wants to show that how the body of a young man turns into a mass of aging sores, almost as a version of cancer move through his bodies at rap speed. Owen takes on a bitter, castless realism towards the end of this stanza. His speaker is deep in the memory of his own dream and he's dragging us along for the ride. Similarly, a good connection can be made with the novel The Wars by Timothy Findlay. A soliloquy by the protagonist Robert Ross in the novel The Wars, saying, I still maintain that an ordinary human being that has a right to be horrified by a mangled body seen on an afternoon walk. Here the author Timothy Findlay describes the feeling of a human being when they saw a dead body lying on a sidewalk and tell the readers that they can still be horrified though they have killed it. So in both the scenarios, a poet and an author both tries to portray the impact and the conditions of the soldier soldiers after fighting for an unwanted war. Even the poet uses literary devices which are very self-explanatory. He uses imagery in many areas such as I saw him drowning, or coughing like hags, or gas, quick boys. Here, all these examples show a good imagery portrayed by the poet. Also, the poet uses many similes such as bent double like old beggars, or his hanging face like a devil's sick of sin, or obscenes as cancer, bitter as a cud. And even his poem rhymes in a certain pattern. His pattern is A B C D C D E F G G. So I believe this poem as a whole is a very meaningful poem that portrays the actual scenes or dilemmas that soldier faced in the war. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.